Momentum in Anaheim. Baseball Night in America is ready to get you out to the ballpark for the Yankees and the Angels.
It is baseball night in America. The New York Yankees trying to figure it out. They've lost 4 straight, while the Angels, they have a long way to go in the AL West, hoping their modest 2-game win streak is the start of something big. It's the Yankees and the Angels for you tonight on Fox. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. Tim McCarver and Ken Rosenthal are both coming up. For the Yankees, it's been a strange season, a ton of injuries even to begin the year. Injuries have hit them hard in season, and yet throughout all of that, they're only 3 games out in the AL East. On the other side, you've got an Angels team that's been struggling offensively. Their bullpen, it's been a struggle, and the Angels have a long way to go in the AL West. And Tim, we'll start with the Yankees. I mean, the 3, 4, 5 production for the Yankees in their lineup, and their lineup is interesting today. Well, the heart of their order has done virtually nothing this season.
Rarely in the history of this organization have the Yankees thirsted for runs like they have this year. I mean, after all, they're 10th in the American League in runs scored. They have 1 home run their last 68 innings. I understand that injuries play a big part, but you wonder how long they can hold out.
You look at the other side, and when you think about the Angels, all the money paid to Hamilton, the money paid to Pujols, the stardom and the superstar qualities of Mike Trout, and yet it's their second baseman that deserves a lot of the credit for what he's done in their lineup this year.
Yeah, you think about the second baseman, the star second baseman in the American League, you think of Pedroia, Robinson, Cano, and of course they're all-star caliber. But so is Howie Kendrick, who has really delivered for the Angels this year and has really flown under the radar. That .328 average, by the way, is 4th in the American League, and look at his other numbers, slugging hits and RBIs.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and a bright spot for Mike Scioscia. While the Yankees are here in Southern California, weather could not be any better. And for New York, trying to snap a 4-game skid. For the Angels, as I said, a long way to go, but they've won the last 2. Baseball coming up next on Fox. 73 degrees. Sunny, absolutely perfect. At about 4:15 local time. The opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Talked about the off in center, then Jason Nix at third, Robinson Cano, Mark Teixeira. The DH is Lyle Overbay. Ichiro is in right. Thomas Neal, just up from the minor leagues, is in left. Reed Brignac is the shortstop, and Chris Stewart does the catching. And here is the right-hander Tommy Hanson, who is making start number 8, a record of 3-2, 6 days rest, and coming off a victory, a 5-inning victory last Saturday at Fenway.
Well, if you're a Yankee hitter, you look for the breaking ball because Tommy Hanson rarely throws the ball by hitters and rarely gets to 90 miles an hour. So one breaking ball after another, I'd say about 3 out of 5 pitches are going to be off-speed pitches.
He's a guy that used to light up a radar gun. Tommy Hanson, that's not the situation anymore. He had some good years with the Atlanta Braves, but he kind of got passed by with a lot of the good young pitching that they've brought along. And so here he is, traded to the Angels for Jordan Walden last November. And he makes start number 8 with the Angels. First up, Gardner. He's been a bright spot for the Yankees, and he takes inside, ball 1. Brett Gardner hitting .367 during the month of June. And as Joe Girardi told us before the game, his experience as a player for a long time in the big leagues, speed just disrupts everything. And that's what Brett Gardner brings to the lineup for New York. And he's up on the count here 2-0.
Not bad for a guy who was a walk-on at Charleston College in South Carolina.
On deck is Jason Nix, then Robinson Cano against Tommy Hanson, who has fallen behind Gardner. He will try and jump on that pitch. Popped up down the right field line. It will get out of play. Strike 1. Home plate umpire Tony Randazzo. He's joined by Larry Vanover at first, Brian Gorman at second. He's the crew chief, Manny Gonzalez at third, and these were the umpires, the quartet, on Tuesday night in Los Angeles with that brawl between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. Here is a 2-1 pitch from Hanson to Gardner. Trying to bunt. He bunts it right to Trumbo. Easy out, 1 away. And we'll give you our Ford keys to the game.
Now for the Yankees, Bronx Bombers had 1 home run in their last 68 and a third innings. And as far as the Angels are concerned, they need to win a series. They have played 22 series this year, and they've won 6, and that's not good.
They've lost 11 of 15. They've won their last 2 at Baltimore, the finale there. Then last night against the Yankees behind C.J. Wilson, 5-2. Frieri got the save. Here's Nix with 1 out. He takes up and away, ball 1. Nix is hitting .249. He's playing third base today. And obviously it's been a season-long fill-in, whether it's been Kevin Youkilis, who has since been put on the disabled list, Nix or others, trying to fill in for the injured and surgically repaired Alex Rodriguez. As the count goes to 1-1 on Nix. Playing without Jeter, without Rodriguez, without Curtis Granderson basically all year. Teixeira came back the last day of May. And yet Joe Girardi's team at the moment 3.5 out behind Boston, who won earlier today over Baltimore. That's strike 2. And just visiting with Joe Girardi and talking about his lineup. I mean, here he is, Girardi, a guy who won it all back in 2009 and a part of that group. It was so good from 96 on under Joe Torre. It is a different situation as striking out is Nix. They appeal to the first base umpire Vanover, and he rings up Jason Nix, 2 out.
There's that breaking ball that looked to be outside. Did Nix go too far? First base umpire Larry Vanover says yes.
So 2 out. The batter is Robinson Cano. Cano has actually struggled during the month of June, hitting just .234. But he is right now, along with Gardner, but Gardner at the top of the lineup, really the big threat the rest of the way. Teixeira's got some RBIs since coming back, but he's striking out a lot and hitting only .157. Strike one into Cano. And this is a Yankee team that on Thursday lost an 18-inning game up the coast in Oakland. 5.5-hour game, and it was a 2-run shot by Cano in the first inning and no runs scored the next 17.
The Angels know all about the Oakland Athletics. They played a 19-inning game and lost to Oakland back on April 29th.
Here's a 1-1 to Cano. That is down the left field line. Looks like it's playable, but a long run, and out to grab it for the out is Callaspo to end the inning. That was a good play by the Angels' third baseman. A fair ball after a half. No score. Starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you've got to live Moss. Mike Trout leads off in left. Josh Hamilton bats second and right. Then Pujols is the DH. Mark Trumbo at first. Howie Kendrick red hot, hitting .328 at second. Callaspo, the third baseman, bats behind Kendrick. And in front of Eric Ibar with Hank Conger doing the catching. And Borges is the number 9 man in the lineup and playing center field. Here is David Phelps, whereas Tommy Hanson was passed by other pitchers for Atlanta. Phelps has actually passed by some of the guys he was in the minor leagues with for the Yankees, and they like him a lot.
David would like to pass the first inning because he has trouble in the first. That's straight from Joe Girardi. Challenge early in the count, and he's improved his off-speed stuff.
Here is Trout, and he takes a strike. As far as the right-hander Phelps is concerned, he's got 4 pitches that are major league quality pitches. But I thought Joe Girardi brought up something really interesting as he just missed the inside corner. A ball and a strike to Trout. He said, I'd like to see him establish 2 of his 4 pitches, his 2 best, not try to get it all working in the first inning and get over that first inning hump as he falls behind Trout 2-1. The number's not good for Phelps with that ERA over 6 in the first inning and 2.84 from the second inning on. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Trout, who fouls it away 2-2. It'll be Trout, Hamilton, and Pujols. Trout really did the majority of his damage and got hot in the number 2 spot. But because Hamilton has been so lost all year, they're trying to get him better pitches. And Trout, who could hit anywhere from first to cleanup in this lineup, is forced in the leadoff spot. And he's on with a base hit to start his day. I thought it was interesting, Tim, that Mike Scioscia said it makes no sense to have Mike Trout in the leadoff spot, but that's where we need him. If he hits third in a major league lineup, he's capable of knocking in 130 runs a year.
That's his spot. I remember a conversation I had with him about a month ago for a half an hour, and 15 minutes was spent talking about 2-strike hitting. And he said 2 strikes is the best time to come inside. And sure enough, that's what David Phelps tried to do there. And Trout delivered. First base runner of the game for the Angels.
Here is Hamilton, who, aside from a couple of flashes, has not been himself. That's a strike, with Trout getting a break over at first, but then stopping and coming back to the bag. Trout has stolen 14. Been caught just 3 times. Led the league in stolen bases last year. He's only 21 years old. Draws a throw, and Phelps, who has quick feet, has a good pickoff move over to first for a right-hander. Hamilton now, then Pujols. And when Hamilton signed in the offseason for that 5-year, $125 million deal that I'm sure he's tired of hearing about, another check on Trout. You looked at this lineup and you thought it's unbeatable. But so far, Hamilton has not been able to put anything together with any consistency, and according to Mike Scioscia, is still just feeling for it, and they can't get him right.
Trying a little bottle shock and putting him in a different neighborhood, that number 2 slot.
Here's the 0-1. That's inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hamilton's done okay against AL West pitching, but hitting just 167 against the rest of the big leagues. Phelps trying to catch Trout flat-footed, throws over for the 3rd time. A ball and a strike on Hamilton with Pujols on deck. There he goes, got a good break and a ground ball to second. Instead of a double play, it's just an out. And Hamilton grounds out with Trout, who got a great break, making his way to second base.
Along with everything else, he is so big, 220 pounds. We talk about quick feet for David Phelps, quick feet for Mike Trout, too, who's now on second base.
And sitting out there for Albert Pujols, who has had back-to-back 3-hit games. A lot's been talked about with regard to that plantar fasciitis in his left foot. He's got a bad knee, and so the foundation that he uses for that great stroke is not healthy in the least, and that's outside ball 1.
Talking to Gordon Lakey, who is the super scout and a great guy for the Philadelphia Phillies, in our booth earlier, and talking about Pujols, how he spins on that front foot. And Albert, more than perhaps any other right-handed hitter in the American League, that could really affect his swing, and obviously it has. It's his, no pun intended, his plant foot with that plantar fasciitis.
Count 2-0.
Albert does not take a big stride. He kind of pivots on that hill, on that heel, and spins that left foot toward the pitcher.
Here's a 2-0 from Phelps. Good pitch from the New York right-hander in the count, 2-1.
His pitch is outside, a good fastball from Phelps, but an awkward off-balance swing by Pujols. And when he's healthy, you don't see that often.
He waits for a 2-1 pitch, runner at second, 1 out. Tied up there by Phelps. 91-mile-an-hour fastball in the count, 2-2. So down and away, then inside off the plate. Phelps is working his way back from what was a 2-0 count. It's even now. Trumbo on deck. Here's a 2-2. Pujols thrown out at the plate in last night's game. One of the real important facets of Albert's game that they have not seen here in Southern California. You look at the OPS for Pujols over the years, .769. On base percentage plus slugging down at the lowest point at least since '08. But base running has always been such a big part of Pujols' game, and it's just not a factor at all. He's lumbering around the bases, not able to run at all. And while he's not fast, he's always had great instincts and a very aggressive mentality on the bases. And that part of the game for Mike Scioscia and this Angels organization, because of the injuries, just is not there. Count's full now from David Phelps. Runner at second, one out. That's in the air to center, sending Gardner back in front of the track, 2 out. Tagging going to third is Trout. And he's there for Trumbo with 2 away.
Now Mike Trout going back and tagging up easily, getting to third base. Gardner rushing that ball back in there. Guy with Trout's speed could perhaps score on a ball like that if it's bobbled momentarily by the cutoff man.
Well, he's standing at third with 2 out for Trumbo, who is having another strong season. 15 home runs. That's tied for 7th in the American League. One of 5 guys with 15 or more homers, 15 or more doubles to start this 2013 season. He takes ball 1 high. Trumbo hitting .270. Trying to put the Angels on top for the right-hander Tommy Hanson. Good pitch, strike 1. Red Sox already won today, so the Yankees are 3.5 out. They beat Baltimore. The Red Sox did. So Baltimore now 2.5 out. Meanwhile, the Angels start the day 11 out behind Oakland. That was fouled straight back at strike 2. Big numbers for Trumbo in his short career against the Yankees. 7 home runs in 18 games. They've seen a lot of number 44. Phelps trying to get that scoreless first inning under his belt. It's been a problem, and he is saved here by Stewart.
Good play by Chris Stewart. Catchers anticipate that breaking ball in the dirt. It's a good thing that Chris did. Smothers this 58-foot slider. Nice.
Figure a guy like Stewart, who's been a career backup, with the amount of playing time he's had this season, would either tire or get exposed, as they say in the big leagues. He's only gotten better and caught that 18-inning affair on Thursday. But he's hitting and really catching well. 2-2 pitch, and there he is again on a pitch down and away, a full count. And for as good as Trumbo has been to start this season, the guy on deck, Howie Kendrick, has been even better. Here is a 3-2 from Phelps. Off the end of the bat, shallow right, long run. Ichiro got it to end the inning.
What a play.
Ichiro Suzuki had to go a long way and did make the catch before the ball hit the grass. Saves a run and a scoreless first on the scoreboard here in Anaheim. Family Ford gives you EcoBoost, fuel economy, and a whole lot more. And by Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live Moss.
Joe, it's tougher to make a play like Ichiro just made against a guy like Trumbo because you have to play him so deep to begin with, so you have farther to come to make a sparkling play like this. Brilliant play by Ichiro.
He'll turn 40 in October. He's still in obviously terrific shape, and he can still run. First up, Teixeira. And a strike drops in from Hansen. Mark Teixeira, while he's got the RBI total, not bad since coming back the final day of May. The strikeouts have piled up, hitting just 157. Breaking ball is up and around the strike zone, a ball and a strike. The infield is shifted. The left side is absolutely wide open. Kai Ospo, the third baseman, playing where a shortstop would, as the count is 1-1, now 2-1. Teixeira, part of that group, the heart of the order in essence for the Yankees in that 18-inning affair, which is tough to get over when you lose a game like that.
It is.
Nobody got a hit. 0 for 28 in the 3 through 7 spots, and for the 3, 4, 5 spots in the lineup this season, you see that group has the worst average in Major League Baseball. As that sinking, kind of looping ball into right drops easily into the glove of Hamilton, 1 out. The 4 through 7 spots, I said 3. The 4 through 7 spots in that Thursday game, 0 for 28.
That's 1 out more than a regular game.
With 12 strikeouts. Leaving guys all over the bases, and when you lose a game like that, it just wrecks your bullpen for the next couple of days.
And wears you out.
With 1 out, nobody on, here is Overbay, who was out on his front foot, took a strike. Lyles, a DH, hitting .245, 8 homers, 29 RBIs. They've kept him around because first couple of months he came up with some big hits for the Yankees, and they're trying to force him when appropriate into the outfield. That won't happen here on this trip out west because of the size of the outfield in Oakland and now here in Anaheim. It's more of a realistic possibility when the Yankees go home, and they'll be there to face the Dodgers at the beginning of next week. The count 1-2 on Overbay. Ichiro on deck, no score, top of the second. The 1-2 from Hansen is on the inside corner, 2 out. And the second strikeout for Tommy Hansen. Let's go to Matt Vasgersian for a game break.
Joe, the Braves have patted the game's best home record, and they've done it in dramatic style against the Giants today. 2 in the bottom of the ninth, the game winner courtesy of Freddie Freeman, who perhaps, Joe, you and Tim will be discussing at the All-Star game in New York in about a month. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I would think so, Matt. And for Atlanta, they come in with the biggest division lead across baseball. It was 5.5 at the start of the day as they lead Washington. Philly a game behind the Nationals in the NL East. And Atlanta's got their own hitting issues, but their pitching has been good enough to get them to the top of the NL East. Easy fly ball into left. That's where Trout plays. 6 up, 6 down against the right-hander Tommy Hansen. Bottom of the second rolls in, no score. Square is sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Well, the Prostate Cancer Home Run Challenge has raised more than $40 million in the last 17 years for research and treatment for prostate cancer. Tonight, every home run in this game raises $12,500 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. And after 4 days of this challenge, there have been 81 home runs hit, with the Reds and the Rays tied, each with 6. Over $1 million has been raised so far as Howie Kendrick. We talked about him in the opening and how hot he's been. Hitting .382 here at home, and he's on with a base hit to start the second. But while he's on, and while Callaspo, the third baseman, walks in, we get to be joined by Michael Milken for another year. This is how many years of doing this?
Year 18.
Which is incredible.
It is incredible. I'm the happiest guy to be in the ballpark today, considering they told me 20 years ago I had 12 to 18 months to live. So, love these ball games. Love these balls.
You get a different appreciation for them, doesn't it, Mike?
You sure do. We sure do. And we actually have today $20,000 for every home run hit, because in honor of you and Tim, we have an additional $7,500 per home run.
So we're up to $20,000 per home run hit across baseball.
The major leagues today.
So that is a way. Here's Callaspo, maybe 2. Teixeira out at second, back to first. Nicely turned. 3-6-1. With a pitcher Phelps covering for the back end of the double play.
Watch the throw that Teixeira gives to Brignac at shortstop, who completes it. Teixeira makes few mistakes at first base.
All right, so Michael, you get diagnosed with prostate cancer, and to think of where prostate cancer research was back then and the treatment was back then, where it is now, I mean, it's night and day.
It is, and I think this program with Fox, Major League Baseball, the owners like Artie Moreno, the great owners in baseball, the death rate has dropped by 50% from projected levels.
Here is Ibar trying to bunt. That's strike 1.
So that would be the number one number we want to remember, 50%. And that's due to better awareness from this program, the number one awareness program in America. And number 2, better treatments. There's been 6 drugs approved. So an individual who was diagnosed today with advanced prostate cancer has a much better chance to live and have a normal life today because of that. And this program with Major League Baseball has just been a phenomenal success and awareness.
And you're sporting
the New Jersey, see this 1 in 6, the
right.
That's 1 in 6 men, and of course
on
the back of my jersey.
Keep Dad in the game. Love it.
So that's I'm looking forward tomorrow where you're out around. You can wear your eye shade here. This Keep Dad in the Game eye shade.
I can see Tim going to brunch tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I'll be doing brunch in Southern California. Just my bag.
So tomorrow's Father's Day, and it's such a big day for dads, obviously across the country, and for you, I know it has that little extra kick.
I'm no different than any person. When I was diagnosed with cancer, you always wonder, are you going to see your kids grow up? Are you going to see them get married? Are you going to see grandkids? And tomorrow, all 3 of my kids have been married. My wife Lori and I have 8 wonderful grandkids, many of whom are watching this game today. And it just tells you there's 12 million people in America today that are living normal, healthy lives who are diagnosed with cancer.
This is a rocket down the right field line and gone.
Thank you.
To make Michael Milken happy, $20,000 for prostate cancer research and a 1-0 Angels lead here in the second on a home run by Eric Ibar.
Well, we want to thank Artie Moreno and the entire Angels for that one.
So $20,000 more for prostate cancer research.
So, we have had such a change, and I think for Father's Day this year, the life expectancy, has changed dramatically. More than 98% of all men, if they're diagnosed, are going to have at least live 5 years. And I would say to you, in 3 to 4 years, we're going to have eliminated cancer as a cause of death. It's going to become a chronic disease, and we're going to go back to those first Fox broadcasts before you had a beard and before Tim put out his CD.
That's right. Have you listened to that?
I not only listened to it, if you remember, we brought a gold copy of his CD.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, Michael.
25 copies. So
thank you.
Michael Milken helped keep Dad in the game. Father's Day tomorrow and $20,000 for prostate cancer research. Thanks to Ibar. 1-0 LA. And it's only on Fox, and it's presented by Ace Hardware. Beautiful day in Southern California. We are in Anaheim. And as we go into the third inning, it's a 1-0 Angels lead and a home run by Eric Ibar, his second of the season. First pitch is a strike, and for the most part, Tommy Hanson has been doing a lot of that, throwing strikes. He has yet to allow a base runner. He struck out 2, and he's up on the count 0-2 on Thomas Neal. It'll be Neal, who played last year with the Indians, was impressive this spring with the Yankees, was hitting .339 at AAA, and they brought him up to be a right-handed presence off the bench. And he's getting the start here today. Hafner's been struggling. Travis Hafner, 5 of his last 52. He's on the bench. Hanson's 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball struck him out. That was nasty. And strikeout number 3. Tommy Hanson's been good, and that was question number 1 for manager Mike Scioscia. He's got to be thrilled with what his right-hander's doing today.
Well, his stuff looks good right now. I think his fastball is good life, and threw some good sliders. He'll bring his breaking ball to the game as the game moves on and he needs it. But right now, he's got good tempo and he's putting the ball where he wants it.
Mike, so many breaking balls that fastball looks a little faster, huh?
Yeah, he's sneaky like we talked about before. He's got a 4-pitch mix. I think he can throw 2 or 3 looks on any count, and hopefully it'll keep him off balance the rest of the day.
And a nice little shot from Eric Ibar. Your middle infielders can hit, they can play defense, and Ibar just put one around that pole. Who's dancing behind you, right? It's Alfredo Griffin. Did you know he can dance?
That's Primo. He can dance, no doubt about it. But yeah, Eric will get a hold of one once in a while. He hooked it around the pole at just enough and got us on the board.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, guys.
Season number 14 for Mike Scioscia, signed through 2018, and certainly a steady presence in the corner of the dugout for the Angels as they lead 1-0, and they're getting everything they could hope for out of the first 2+ innings from Tommy Hanson, who misses low with ball 1 to Chris Stewart. There are the numbers for Stewart. First 5 seasons in the big leagues, he was a career .217 hitter. So he is making the most out of this opportunity. That's in at the knees, strike 1. And as Joe Girardi said before the game to us, he does a ton of homework and does a great job in guiding pitchers through ball games. So he's been a bright spot, a plus, and he drops one into right for the first Yankee hit of the game. So Stewart is on, adding to that .275 average. And after visiting with Mike Scioscia, we'll look at his resume. 14th season as manager here in Southern California. Longtime Dodger, hired in 2000. Won the World Series in 2002. Beat the San Francisco Giants, and he has won 5 division titles. Last one in 2009. He was also American League Manager of the Year. However, this organization has failed to make the playoffs each of the last 3 seasons, and there were only 4 guys remaining from that 2009 team that lost to the Yankees in the ALCS. That's ball 1 low. Ibar is left. He's homered in this game. Jepson, right-handed reliever, Howie Kendrick, and Jared Weaver, who gets the ball against CC Sabathia tomorrow in the finale of this series.
Great matchup in the afternoon tomorrow at Angel Stadium.
Here is a 1-0. Gardner hits one in the air into right. Back at the wall. It is off the top of the wall. All the way around first. From first to score is Stewart. It's an RBI triple, and it's a 1-1 game here in the 3rd inning. And now Mike Scioscia is going to go out and argue with the umpire. Looked like a fan got his hands out there on this ball that almost got out of the ballpark, and let's lean in and try and give it a look. Yeah, a fan with a glove may have gotten a piece of it.
I think he did. Because what it did, Stewart is not a fast runner, and by the fan reaching down and touching the ball, it altered the hop for Josh Hamilton. There could have been a play on Chris Stewart had the ball come back to Hamilton cleanly. That's the way I read that, because Hamilton with an excellent throwing arm. But fan interference is 2 bases automatically. One more shot.
And it looks like, and it's not the guy with a glove, it's the guy with the 2 bare hands reaching over the wall, but it looked like he may have gotten a piece of it.
Yeah, it appeared that he did.
And meanwhile, I think clearly that ball is not going to go over the wall.
No.
That ball's going to stay in play. And when you talk about replay, that's for home run shots, and I think clearly that ball stays in the park. May have been touched by that fan, and it turns into an RBI triple for Gardner, who's tied this game.
But to me, Joe, it should be a boundary call, because that is a boundary. It's not over the boundary, but it is a boundary call, and I think that should, common sense to me, tells me that that an umpire would be within his rights to go in and review it.
We'll try and take another look at it. Tough for us to tell on our monitors up here, as this one is low. And let's see if the fan gets a piece of it or not. It's just tough to see. Either way, the ball's going to bounce around out there in right field. It does bring up replay again, which is a hot button topic for Major League Baseball at the moment. Here's a 1-1 pitch with a go-ahead run at third. Gardner and Jason Nix at the plate. As the count goes to 1-2 on Nix. Gardner is 90 feet away, so just like that, a little 2-out hit by Stewart, the number 9 man, flipped it into right. He scores on the RBI triple by Gardner, and the 1-2 pitch is down and in 2-2.
A lot of catchers with an important run on at third base will not call for breaking balls that go down. If they call for a breaking ball, they'll call for a slider. But Hank Conger is not being trained by Mike Scioscia, is not of that ilk.
Runner at third with 2 out.
Does put a lot of pressure on the catcher with an important run on at third base.
And there's a pitch in the dirt right there, blocked by Conger. Breaking ball missing by plenty, and it's a full count. So Gardner, who was the American League Player of the Week last week, is absolutely red hot. And he has tied this game with an RBI triple, now a 3-2 count on Jason Nix. Hansen brings it, and a smash goes right through Callaspo, and the Yankees lead 2-1. That's got to be a base hit all the way. That was a rocket hit by Nix over to third on a 3-2 pitch. And the Yankees have taken a 1-run lead.
3 2-out hits. The single by Stewart, triple by Gardner, and a base hit off the left arm of Callaspo by Nix. 18 RBIs now for Jason Nix, and he has been very, very important for the Yankees and Joe Girardi.
And now Robinson Cano digs his way in. 2-1 New York here in the third inning. Take one more look at this play and right when we get an opportunity. Pete Macheska, our producer, Bill Webb, our director, they think the fan missed it. Either way, it goes as an RBI triple, and then Gardner scored on the hit by Nix. 2 out. And Robinson Cano, who's tied for 5th in the American League with 16 home runs, waits for the first from Hansen. Instead, a check on Nix. Looks like it's missed. Either way, not going to change anything.
No.
And now the Yankees are on top as Cano takes outside, ball 1. Cano is driven in 42. His average sitting at 281, and his contract is sitting at an expiration date at the end of this season. That is outside 2-0. All that momentum and all that talk early is pretty much evaporated.
Yeah, 281 with a few zeros behind it.
He will cash in, whether with the Yankees or somewhere else, and I know it's your opinion, it's mine, that this is the one guy you would think they can not afford to lose.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Struggled this year against left-handed pitching. Usually he's been very good against left-handed pitching, but this year it's been a struggle, hitting less than 220. Here's a 2-0. Foul back, and he had a good rip.
We've talked about this when we've done some Yankee games. The difference this year, the way I see it, with Robinson Cano against left-handed pitching is they're busting him inside much more than they have in past years.
He came into this season as a 290 hitter against left-handed pitching. As we showed you, 218 at the start of the day. 321 against right-handed pitching. Faces the right-hander here. Runner goes. Got a good break and an easy stolen base for Nix, who's now 10 for 10. in the stolen base department, and a base hit could add to the Yankee lead.
Brett Gardner has increased his power this year, and it seems like Jason Nix has increased his speed. 10 for 10 on the bases. Good jump. Not a good throw by Hank Conger, but even a good throw wouldn't have had Jason.
And with a count 3-1, they just go ahead and put Cano on with the intentional pass. Now 2 on with 2 out for Teixeira. Mark flied out to right his first time up. And what looked like a quick and easy third inning of work after the first 2 were retired, and the number 9 man at the plate, Tommy Hansen, is now in a long frame. Good speed on Nix. Cano. 2 out. The first one to Teixeira is popped up. Foul ball. Will it stay in play? The answer is yes, and it's Callaspo putting it away, and the frustration continues for Teixeira. But in the inning, the Yankees grab their first lead of the day. Started with a hit by Stewart. RBIs by Gardner and Nix. 2 on New York after 2.5. Now David Phelps has a 1-run lead, and he deals a strike to Peter Borges. It'll be Borges, Trout, and Hamilton for the Angels after the Yankees just made 2 out noise in the top of this third. That rides inside, and the count 1-1.
Joe, I erred when I talked about that ball that the fan did not interfere with. As it turned out, it was a moot point.
Here's a ground ball off Phelps, knocks it down and gets the out. 1 away.
Good play by Phelps. But an umpire would have a chance to reconstruct that play, and in all probability would have given Gardner a triple and would have allowed Chris Stewart to score. It is not an automatic double or 2 bases in the umpire's view, but he can reconstruct that and give Gardner the triple and Stewart the run scored. Good play by Phelps. Had that ball gotten through, Borges probably beats the throw.
As it is, now 1 out, nobody on for Trout, who singled into center his first time up and gets such a good rip. He is from Millville, New Jersey. Played quarterback and safety as a freshman in high school. Bowled a personal high of 286.
Could do it all.
And that last number, he was 3 years old when Mariano Rivera made his major league debut in 1995, and he did it against the Angels.
He bowls strikes but doesn't take them.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. It's outside. 2-1. They honored Mariano Rivera prior to today's game, and it just speaks to, I think, how smart fans are and how classy Rivera has been throughout his career, that here, as he takes his final trip in 2013, the fans here in Southern California stood up, gave him a standing ovation. He was honored by Artie Moreno, the owner, by Albert Pujols, the DH today, presented with a painting with that kind of coiled look that Rivera has had just prior to a pitch being brought to the plate. What a treat it's been watching him since he debuted in '95. He was the setup man to John Wetland in '96 when they won it all. And he is the all-time saves leader. Honored by these fans and any fans in any ballpark when the Yankees make their final trip to those stadiums here this season. Here's a 3-2 pitch. A 1-out walk. It'll bring in Josh Hamilton, who these fans are dying to fall in love with. They know plenty of him from his days with Texas in the American League West, but they have just not seen consistent production. It's a long year, 95 games left, including today, and so Hamilton has got some time. With 1 on, 1 out, he takes ball 1 low.
Statistics in baseball are tossed around, and one of the more inaccurate statistics is the so-called Mendoza line that is thought to be the 200 batting average that Mario Mendoza had as a career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. That is inaccurate because when you look it up, Mario Mendoza hit 215 for a career. So in essence, Josh Hamilton, 0 for 1 tonight, entered at 213. He is under the Mendoza line.
He is up on the count here, 1-0.
Got to take care of Mario, a good guy who was a hitting instructor.
They had Trout leaning, but he's able to get back.
Looked like he was going and just back.
So Hamilton waits for a 1-0 pitch. The next from Phelps. 1 ball, 1 strike. We were here on a Saturday not too long ago that Mike Scioscia just gave Hamilton the day off. He's moved him all over the lineup from 4th to 5th, now in the number 2 spot, which is where Trout flourished.
Boy, he's quick to first.
And if Trout didn't know that prior to today, he knows it now. He's getting a big lead over there, Mike Trout. He was running when Hamilton grounded out back in the first. And it's a workout for Trout to get back to the bag. He stays put. Hamilton straightens up on a pitch upstairs. 2-1. Game break coming up on a game between the Dodgers and the Pirates. The Dodgers started the day 8.5 out. Pirates started the day 3 out behind St. Louis in the NL Central, with Cincinnati in between the two. Here is a 2-1 pitch to Hamilton. In at the knees, 2-2. Phelps had a terrific record in his time in the minor leagues. Was 40-15 coming through the Yankee organization. 14th round pick back in 08. He is paying a lot of attention with this 1-run lead to Mike Trout over at first. Last year Phelps came up 3 stints with the Yankees, was 4-4. Pitched collegiately at Notre Dame. Here is his 2-2 runner goes. Pitch skips in there and a stolen base uncontested for Trout, number 15.
That was the right pitch on which to run, the slider down and in. Chris Stewart blocked it but couldn't catch it. Had it gotten by him, Trout could have ended up at third base.
So Trout now at second with 1 out. RBI chance is better for Hamilton, who has 21 to go with his 9 home runs. Three-two pitch. Chop to Teixeira, who will flip to Phelps for out number 2. Let's go to Matt Vasgersian in the MLB Network studios for a game break.
Joe, the other high payroll SoCal underachiever, the Dodgers in Pittsburgh today, top of the 11th. Juan Uribe singles in Andre Ethier with what would prove to be the game winner. The Dodgers win on the road for just the 4th time in their last 16 tries. 5-3 the final today. Back to you and Tim.
All right, Matt, thanks. You look at the first 11 games of a career. You can't have a smaller snapshot of a career. 11 games, but that's what Yasiel Puig has played in the big leagues in. 487.
Small sample, but that's all we have.
Here's a pitch down and away to Pujols. Tying run at third, 2 out. That was a game, by the way, that was started by Kershaw. Had a lead, that got away, but the Dodgers end up winning that game at Pittsburgh in the 11th. Runner at third, 2 out, 1-0 pitch is lined into center field, a base hit. A shattered bat in a 2-2 game. Just out of the reach of Cano, who had Pujols played up the middle.
Yeah, had the Yankees had the shift on, it would have been the appropriate play. Breaks the bat and still hits it hard enough to get it by the lunging Cano. Little bit to the left side of the second base bat.
Right off the end of the bat for RBI number 41. And it's a 2-2 game. Brings in Trumbo. He flied out to right, was robbed of an RBI and a hit on a running, sliding catch by Ichiro to end the first. Saw the numbers, by the way, for Trout. That was actually not last year, but the year prior. 2011, when he came up for a bit. 176, 6 hits, 2 RBIs through the first 11 games of his career. But last year, first full real taste of the big leagues, and he gave Miguel Cabrera a run for the AL MVP, even though Cabrera won the Triple Crown. Here's the 0-2. A strikeout. Phelps is yelling at himself going off the mound. As the Angels have tied it, 2-out RBI hit by Pujols. 2-2 after 3 in Anaheim. Chevrolet, find new roads. And by AT&T, rethink possible. Fox Sports is proud to team with Feeding America, a nationwide network of food banks that helps feed more than 37 million people in America each year through pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. Visit feedingamerica.org/Fox Sports. Learn how you can fight hunger in your community. Together, we're Feeding America. First pitch to Overbay is a strike from Tommy Hanson, who has kind of a herky-jerky delivery as he brings it home. Overbay, it's a good breaking ball. It drops in for a strike, and it's 0-2. It has been an emotional season for Tommy Hanson. Been on the bereavement list this season as he gets his 4th strikeout. Another good hook from the big right-hander. And for more on Hanson's season, let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Joe, Hanson lost his stepbrother in late April, went on the bereavement list for 6 days, made 2 starts when he came back, and then was away from the team for 18 more days. He told me that he simply needed more time. A lot of people reached out and said, if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. But Hanson was worried about his family, and he also thought, hey, this is a time where I just have to be with them. Obviously, guys, the loss of a stepbrother, any sibling, is not easy for anyone to get over. He was only a year and a half older than his stepbrother, and they shared a room from the time Hanson was 9.
Kenny, thanks. So it's been that kind of a year for Hanson, who watches Ichiro hook one down into the corner, and Suzuki will think about 3 but pull up with a 1-out double. There may have been a time where that had triple written all over it for Ichiro, but not now.
How about that ball? That ball down and in, off the plate inside, below the knees, about ankle high. The ball hit down the line. Even 2 years ago, Josh Hamilton would have had to throw to third base. Look how low that ball is, way off the plate inside. Smoke down the right field line.
So it's a double with 1 out for Ichiro. And he is there for Thomas Neal, who struck out his first time up. Talked about Neal, who impressed during the spring. He was tearing the cover off the ball at AAA, and now getting a chance. The latest in a long list of guys coming up, signed out of organizations, other organizations, traded for, street free agents. Here on the 15th of June in 2013, this Yankee lineup is just a shell of what we're used to seeing for Joe Girardi or Joe Torre before him. And yet only 3.5 out behind the Red Sox. Neal waits in the 0-1 from Tommy Hanson. Instead, he spins and looks back at Ichiro.
I think the difference between these two teams, if the Yankees have the lead after 5 innings, they're very, very tough with that bullpen. If the Angels have the lead after 5 innings, not nearly as tough.
Another good pitch from Hanson drops in, the count 0-2.
Of course, the Angels with their lineup have a chance to blow you out, and the Yankees rarely have that chance with this lineup.
Oh, 0-2 the count. Runner at second, 1 out. There goes Suzuki. Throw down by Conger is in time, and you're going to get an argument from Joe Girardi, who from his spot in the dugout saw that Callaspo did not get the tag on the leg of Ichiro. It certainly didn't look like it.
Unless he pressed the glove against the base with his lead foot. I tell you, it looked like he beat the throw, but did the glove get down? I'm not sure he touched him, but the ball beat him. Sometimes with that short hop, in order to catch it, you have to kind of give with it, and I think that's what Callaspo did. He caught the ball but came up over the foot. of Suzuki.
And Joe Girardi had the best view of that from his spot in the dugout. He came charging out of the dugout because this ball on the short hop brought the glove up. And even though the throw, as you said, beat him, the third base umpire, Manny Gonzalez, is back behind all that action and not able to see that Suzuki was safe, and he was clearly safe.
Yeah, Quillaspo did a good job trying to sell it, and evidently a good enough job to get Manny Gonzalez to call him out.
With 2 out, nobody on, a 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and that should end the inning. Conger, a nice job to block it, get the out at first, but a runner lost on the bases. Gonzalez did not see the missed tag. That was out number 2. The strikeout followed. 2-2 game, bottom of the 4th. The Yankees, David Adams takes over at first base. Mark Teixeira will leave 0 for 2 on the day. We just visited with Joe Girardi, and he will give you the evaluation from the dugout. They hope it's not serious, but I'll play that for you here in a second. As we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, here's the conversation that Mark had with Kevin Long, his hitting instructor. Teixeira coming back to the dugout after he fouled out with a runner on his last time up.
Excuse me, Joe. I think he was talking about how that lead hand when hitting left-handed. Of course, Mark a switch hitter.
Here is another hit for Howie Kendrick. He's 2 for 2 on the day, and nobody hotter swinging the bat in Major League Baseball.
No.
Here's Joe Girardi. First question was about David Phelps, his right-hander.
Bases, which has led to a couple runs for them, but I think he's throwing the ball pretty good.
I know we're catching you at a hot moment. The corner of the dugout is a tough place to watch pitches and argue with the home plate umpires, but you had that same view we did up in the booth on that throw out at third base.
Sometimes you can really get a really good look at the bases depending on where you're at, whether you're in the third base dugout or the first base dugout. And I clearly saw that he was safe, and I'm frustrated by it, but we got to move on.
And tell us about Teixeira. You get the big bat back. in Mark Teixeira, but anything going on there? He's being replaced at first base.
He just doesn't feel like he has the snap in his swing, so we're going to take him out and probably give him tomorrow off, and then we got Monday off, and then we'll reevaluate.
That wrist is not bothering him, Joe?
Well, he just doesn't feel like he has the snap and the strength in it, so we're just going to give him a couple days off and see what it does.
The beat goes on, huh?
Yes, it sure does.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Frustrated, no doubt. Did they get Mark Teixeira back? They get Youkilis back. They had to put Youkilis on the disabled list, and who knows where that's headed. He's got numbness down in a toe and a foot. Been bothered by that bad back. So the production just isn't there out of the third base spot. Now they've got Teixeira back, and they have to take him out of the lineup. And so this has just been one of those years for Joe Girardi, and that's why when we talked about it prior to the game a couple of weeks ago, as Phelps watches Callaspo foul at left side, you said, and I couldn't agree with you more, that Joe Girardi is doing his best job managing this team through all of these issues here this season.
Nobody handles a bullpen more deftly than the ex-catcher, Joe Girardi.
In his 6th season as the Yankees manager, and he's had to deal with a lot. Those wrists are unpredictable. And if that's flared up again or not, we'll just have to wait and see. Callaspo grounds off the glove of Adams, who is taken over at first base. And it's 2 on with nobody out, an infield base hit for Callaspo.
The saying is as old as baseball. If you enter the game defensively, the ball will find you. It finds Adams. It's going to be a base hit, and even had Teixeira been in there, it would have been a very difficult play. But for a right-handed throwing first baseman at a left-handed throwing position, there are few better in the history of the game than Mark Teixeira.
And now Joe Girardi is out to check, I guess, an injury visit. He never did talk to Phelps, and it looked like he went up to read Brignac, who wasn't really even involved in this play, except there he was going for that deflection off the glove of Adams, the first baseman, and Brignac said he was okay.
Joe, I've never broached this subject with you on the air or off the air, but doesn't it seem to you that the better shape the players are in and year out, the more injuries occur?
Well, yeah, and I've talked to a lot of guys, a lot of ex-teammates actually that you had, that kind of scoff at how finely tuned these Major League Baseball players are. And while it may work in other sports, the day-to-day of these guys who are taking the whole performance-enhancing drug part of it out of the equation,
sure,
if you can. Here's Ibar trying to bunt. He bunts it foul left side. This sport, with the way guys lift and the way guys are so tightly packed, it does seem you get a lot of obliques, you get a lot of hamstrings, you get a lot of injuries you don't get
injuries
in other sports.
Injuries that weren't there in this sport 20, 30 years ago. It's a sport where the participants have to be flexible as opposed to bulked up. And the more bulking up players do in this modern age, the more injuries occur.
It's 2 on. 2 on with nobody out here, and an 0-1 count on Ibar, who has the ability to get the bunt down. Got him at third. As Nix made a nice play with Brignac covering, 1 out.
And a great play by Nix, realizing he had to make a strong throw. The rotation play was on, and they just get Kendrick at third base. Bang, bang. Goes to the Yankees and should have.
So now it's 2 on with 1 out for the 8-9 hitters. Hank Conger dig his way in, and that was a good call that time by Manny Gonzalez, the third base umpire. Runners are at first and second, 1 away. Ken Rosenthal is with us. Ken, did you talk to Teixeira about that wrist and how it had been responding?
I did. I talked to him yesterday, and he has a partially torn tendon sheath in that right wrist, and Tim was right. It does bother him more from the left side. He came in today only 3 for 35, batting left-handed against right-handed pitching. He said that he has had to reduce the number of swings he takes. He can't swing off a tee without that wrist bothering him. And guys, keep in mind, wrist injuries are notoriously tricky. Jose Bautista had a similar thing last year, more serious, led to surgery. I'm not saying that's the case with Teixeira. I'm just saying this is not an easy injury to get over.
With 2 on, 1 out, a 1 out of Conger's in for a strike. It's the reason why they kept Lyle Overbay on this roster. I mean, they're trying to force him in the outfield because a long-term bet on Teixeira right now with that sheath, the tendon in his right wrist. It is so tricky that they can't afford to let go of somebody who from that first base position was giving the Yankees decent production at the plate. It's 2 on, 1 out. Teixeira is a switch hitting first baseman, and so if it bothers him more batting left-handed.
I was thinking the same thing. Would he consider perhaps batting right-handed against right-handed pitching?
But we're at the point now where he said he just didn't have the snap in that swing, and they're going to evaluate it when they get home. 2 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a strikeout for Phelps as that tailing pitch gives him out number 2. Good pitch from the Yankee right-hander.
Left-handed batters think that this ball is going to be inside. It tails back over the corner. Good call by Tony Randazzo. One thing a home plate umpire has to do is wait for that pitch to tail and not call it too quickly.
It is fair to say, though, as Borges digs in, 2 on, 2 out. Angels had 2 on, nobody out in this tie game, and they had a force out at third, then a strikeout. Borges takes inside. In your day, and you're one of the few guys that doesn't do back in my day during the course of a telecast, but guys
can't remember it. That's why.
Guys went to spring training to get into shape.
Right.
Now guys are lifting and working out pretty much after a little 2-week layoff. They're back into the weight room.
You're right. 11 months out of the year.
And so these athletes and again, I mean, you've got the performance-enhancing drug issue that runs throughout this conversation, but still, the way these guys are bulking up and the lifting they do after games and the size that they have put on for this sport in particular, the day in and the day out and the swings and what it does to a body, there are a lot of injuries that, as you said, and I've talked to other guys who have said the same thing, that just were not there throughout this sport years ago.
They look better, but miss more time.
2-1 is the count on Borges.
Vital to add that flexibility along with the strength, because when you think about it, flexibility is strength. Isometrics have proven that.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Borges. Runners on at first and second, tie game, and a foul backing out of play. But I guess just to finish up, when a body or something is that finely tuned, it doesn't take much to throw that whole apparatus out of whack.
Not to play this game, it doesn't. You're right.
Here's a 2-2. Just missed the outside corner, and the runners will go. Yankees just got a good defensive play in this inning from Nix, their third baseman. Jason spinning on a bunt by Ibar, getting the force out at third. A strikeout of Conger, and it's up to Borges. Came back on Monday from the layoff after a hamstring injury, time on the DL, worked his way back. Batting in that number 9 spot. The 3-2. Popped up. Shallow center and easy for Gardner if he can find it in the sunshine, and he can. 2 on and nobody out. The Angels do not score. We go to the 5th inning. Good game. Yankees and Angels tied at 2. Tommy Hanson heads back to work, and he's greeted by a ground ball to the right side. Off the bag and off his position is Trumbo making the play, and Brignac retired 3-1 with Hanson taking the toss from Trumbo. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we've learned making tires for a range of conditions inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Here's Stewart. There's a little 2-out base hit into right by Chris Stewart that started trouble for Hanson in the 3rd. Tommy had retired the first 8. And Gardner followed with an RBI triple high off the wall and right. Nix with a base hit left side. Here's a squirter off the end of the bat. Bobbled and safe at first on what should be an error on Tommy Hanson.
It's a routine game, isn't it, Joe? The inability to make routine plays cost as many games over the course of the season as the spectacular play and things like that. We talked about it last week, about how many plays are messed up by pitchers in the major leagues, either through throws. They rarely field the ball that often, and when they do it, it's an event. Bobbled by Hanson, and the first error of the ball game.
You can see it on that first replay, though. I don't even know if he comes up with it cleanly with Trumbo so far out of the picture going to his right.
Well, if he does, he'd have to go to the bag himself. Yeah. If he does that, then I think he gets the rather slow Chris Stewart.
Here's a pop-up off the bat of Gardner. Cayaspo is there, 2 out. Gardner, who has an RBI triple and a run scored, went after the first pitch. After that error by Hanson. And all 3 guys in this 5th inning have hacked at the first pitch. That is not typically how the Yankees go about it.
No.
And with 2 out and a runner at first, the batter will be Nix, who has an RBI single and a stolen base. Hansen trying to get around his error. Started the day with a record of 3-2, making his 8th start. ERA just over 4. 13-game winner last year with Atlanta. A check on Stewart, who was 2 for 2 in the stolen base department, in case you're wondering. Good pitch count, which is like nails on a chalkboard to my partner, as Hansen is at 55 with 2 outs in the 5th. And another first pitch swing. It's fouled out of play, strike 1.
Tommy Hansen has thrown 4 pitches here in the 3rd inning. 4. There are 2 outs, 1 on, and 0-1 to the hitter.
And that hitter is Nix. The Yankees' run production has been very un-Yankee-like. 16 runs over their last 7 games. And for the season, averaging 3.9 runs per game, which is 12th in the American League. Last year they were just under 5 runs a game, which was 2nd in the American League, and they've been 1st or 2nd in that category every year since '09. But a different story here for Joe Girardi. Runner goes, the pitch is up, the throw down, too late. And Stewart steals base number 3 on the year.
Talk about picking the right pitch on which to run. This breaking ball over the head of Jason Nix. Hank Conger once again had no chance to get Stewart.
And so the stolen base attempt pays off. He's at 2nd with 2 out. Nix trying to put the Yankees back on top. Count 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2. Last night it was C.J. Wilson getting his first win in 8 starts. He went 7 strong, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. Andy Pettit, who turns 41 today, suffered the loss. He's now 5-4. What the Yankees really need is for CC Sabathia, who gets the ball tomorrow, taking on Jared Weaver, to pitch like CC Sabathia, coming off a loss in Oakland. Allowed 6 runs on Tuesday night. Here is a 1-2 pitch. Backhanded by Conger, 2-2. Meanwhile, Jared Weaver, who had that big season last year, fractured his left elbow after a couple of starts this season and is still kind of working his way back in. A record of 1-2.
Weaver does not, however, have the same problem Sabathia does, a lack of velocity.
The 2-2 pitch, breaking ball, got him looking. Nix knew it. Good pitch by Hansen, strikeout number 6. And Tommy gets around his error in the 5th, halfway through it on a Saturday evening. Sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Good pitching so far in this one on a Saturday afternoon, evening in Southern California. Time for the Own Your Space pitcher profile, brought to you by Avis, and the numbers for David Phelps, who's back out there for the 5th.
This is how they've done.
4 innings, a couple of runs, 6 hits. And here in the 5th, he has to deal with the top of the lineup. And when you pitch against the Angels, that is a tall order. Trout, Hamilton, and Pujols if anybody gets on Trumbo. Joe Girardi said about Phelps, you keep waiting for him to hit a wall, and he just doesn't. He's been impressive.
That's an apt description of his performance this afternoon.
He's 26 years old, 6'2", 200. Velocity has gotten better year by year. Here's a high fly ball into right center field. Back at the wall. It's caught by Gardner, 1 out.
Mike Trout makes you work for an out, doesn't he? Whew.
And just flicking into the wall in right center.
I thought that ball was off the end of the bat. He didn't hit it cleanly. And just keep in mind, Mike Trout will get stronger. A great play by Gardner, who could track him down, as well as Mike Trout.
So Trout back to the dugout. Here is Hamilton 0 for 2. Hitting .212. Strike 1, and there has been a lot of that from Josh Hamilton. That typically powerful swing, very long, and just that time under it. A lot of over the top of pitches so far this season. As he pops it up left side, it'll get out of play, and that's 2 quick strikes.
We've talked about that before with Josh Hamilton. He is such a free swinger, such a first ball swinger, that you almost start out with the count 0-2 and pitch him as though it were 0-2 or 1-2. Throw the ball, tease him a little bit, throw the ball just out of the strike zone, and he'll swing at it anyway.
It's a guy who hit .359 for Texas back in 2010. This is down the line and foul, as Knicks couldn't get there. But in 518 at bats, Hamilton hit .359, 32 homers, 100 RBIs. Last year, hit 43 home runs for Texas. Fizzled down the stretch. Seemed to fall out of favor with the Rangers, and then really fell out of favor with the Rangers fans when, upon exiting and signing a deal with the Angels, said that the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they're not a real baseball town, it's all football. Here's the 0-2, and that is paraphrasing at its best, but that's what got their attention, and Hamilton heard it from the fans with the Rangers when the Angels were there early in the season.
Well, not a person alive who saw that Game 6 thought that the Texas Rangers would not beat the St. Louis Cardinals.
Here's a weak ground ball to Cano.
After that home run he hit. That was in the 10th inning of Game 6.
Let's go for a game break. Here's Matt in the MLB studios.
Joe, a terrific pitchers duel taking place in Oakland. The A's trying to break through against King Felix Hernandez in the 5th, but Endy Chavez, 4th outfield assist in only 40 games, keeps it scoreless in Oaktown. Back to you and Tim.
He is such a good outfielder, Endy Chavez. You saw that back in 2006. Here's a pop-up when he was playing for the Mets. And Rob Scott Rowland of a home run in New York. Pujols fouls out. The top of the order goes quietly here in the 5th inning. 6th inning rolls in Anaheim, tied at 2. Tonight's telecast sponsored by Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB. And by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. As you look at the Crystal Cathedral, Chevrolet is the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, celebrating a new season for new memories. Your chance to win a community field makeover and an all-new 2014 Impala. Visit ChevyBaseball.com. Here is Cano, 3-4-5 hitters, which now means Cano, David Adams, and Lyle Overbay after Teixeira exited in the fourth. Good breaking ball. It's been a good pitch for Hansen, 0-2.
That was our scouting report featuring that as the first point. About 3 out of 5 breaking balls for Tommy Hansen, and he has been true to form, but very sharp this afternoon.
Cano has been intentionally walked, popped up. He was intentionally walked prior to a foul out by Teixeira in the third inning, and Teixeira had to exit. That bounces in, ball 1. And it was Joe Girardi telling us that Mark Teixeira just doesn't feel the snap in his swing, so probably sit him out tomorrow and then evaluate him when they get home. They have a 2-game series coming up with the Dodgers at Yankee Stadium. As Cano strikes out, that is number 7 for Tommy Hansen. 1 out here in the 6th.
One breaking ball after another after the fastball fouled away. 3 straight breaking balls gets Cano.
Here is our Fox Sports 1 game summary. America's new sports network coming August 17th. Teixeira had to leave the game in the 4th. The 3-4-5 hitters. It's been a struggle all season. Combined hitting .214 for the year, lowest in Major League Baseball. They're hitless today, and 10 of 11 runs this series have come with 2 out. First pitch is a strike to David Adams. First at bat for Adams, who they cut loose, re-signed, and he hit his way to the big leagues. With the Yankees, it's 0-2. On deck is the DH Overbay. Hansen's 0-2 pitch. Rides up and in. Butcher, the pitching coach for the Angels, has to be pleased with what he's getting out of Tommy Hansen, who has a season high 7 strikeouts in this game. This is Cayaspo. Guides it across, 2 out. With the bases empty, Overbay, the DH, will bat. This is an Angels team that between 2000 and last year, 2000 being Mike Scioscia's first season as manager here with the Angels, spent 11 days, 10 or more games under 500. That's really remarkable success for this long run for Mike Scioscia. 11 days over all those years, 13 seasons, at 10 or more games under 500. This season, 14. They need a win here today to avoid falling 10 games again under 500. Chasing Oakland in the AL West as the count goes to 1-1 on Overbay. Overbay has struck out twice. And a rare fastball from Hansen makes it 2-1.
Yeah, when teams struggle from an injury standpoint and effectively, they look to their leader to see if he's ruffled. And neither of these managers in either dugout get ruffled, Girardi or Scioscia.
2-2 on Overbay.
I think the quality of managing in the major leagues today is the best that it's ever been. There's no more old boy network. It doesn't exist anymore. That's why managers are getting long-term contracts. It's a very, very difficult job.
Here's a 2-2. I mean, considering long-term contracts, the money that gets thrown around, the scrutiny that these guys are under,
right?
The pressure of a payroll that Mike Scioscia is dealing with here, and all the money that's been spent by Artie Moreno, all the money over the years that's spent by the Yankees. They're the ones that have to try and pull the right strings. Here's a 2-2. Up and away. The media attention and dealing with that. So Joe Torre was so good with that great run with the Yankees that started back in 1996. He played good defense for his roster. With all the media attention the Yankees get, that's fouled back, and it's still a full count.
Not only are the managers better, but the coaches around them are better. There was a story years and years ago that used to float around when Danny Murtaugh was manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He had a coaching staff that used to play hearts with him. None of them would give him the queen. They were scared to death that if they gave him the queen of spades, he'd fire them. But that was an idea of how the old boy network worked in those days.
Here's a comebacker to Hansen. He's been good today. Gets the out at first. And the inning is over. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Mark Trumbo coming up. He's first up. Kendrick and Kayaspo to follow. Yankees and Angels still tied at 2.
America game break. Tigers and Twins tied in the 6th. Send them. Big Prince Fielder trying to score from second on a Don Kelly single. There has been seismic activity recorded in Minneapolis tonight. Still tied at 2. Mariners and A's, they were scoreless until Henry Blanco, the 41-year-old vet playing in his first game as a Mariner, struck for a grand slam. A 4-0 Mariners lead in Oaktown. Back to Joe and Tim in Anaheim.
All right, Matt, thank you. And as David Phelps goes back to the hill, he misses with ball 1 to Mark Trumbo.
No seismic activity in this area, we're happy to report.
No. Yeah, no. It's Trumbo, Kendrick, and Kayaspo. 2-2 game. Phelps misses down with ball 2. David Phelps has allowed the 2 runs. He's allowed 6 hits. He has struck out 2, walked 1. Trumbo's fly to right, struck out. Leading off this inning, he is digging in with 15 home runs, tied for 7th most in the American League. As we play on the 15th of June. That misses, and the count goes to 3-0.
Mark Trumbo is a guy who will swing 3-0, and he doesn't have to pull the ball to get it out of the ballpark. Tremendous power the other way.
3-0 pitch. Zips in there for strike one. $15 or more doubles, 15 or more home runs, 1 of 5. That's strike 2 and a full count. "32 home runs a year ago, 95 RBIs. 2011, he hit 29 as a rookie. The 3-2 pitch is down and away, a leadoff walk. And the second walk issued by David Phelps. Take a look at the Fox Sports 1 pitcher comparison presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, coming August 17th. Now 2 walks to go with the 2 strikeouts for David Phelps. Tommy Hansen has been terrific. One of his better outings with the Angels. He has struck out 7, which is a season high. Here's Kendrick. He has flipped 2 base hits into right and is hitting in the mid to upper 380s here at home this season. You talked to Mike Scioscia's manager before the game and about how even in the American League in particular, you think second baseman, you think about Pedroia, think about Cano, but Kendrick should be considered right there with him as he comes up empty, 1 ball, 1 strike. Scioscia talked about the improvement that Kendrick has made defensively as well.
His years in the minor leagues were so good. I'm not talking about good, I'm talking about great. Hitting around 380 3 years in a row, and came up, as Mike said, with the moniker that he'll lead the American League in hitting someday.
Here's a 1-1. Strike 2.
That's a tough burden to carry. Now with a little more experience, he is a tough out.
He's up to 333 with his average. Singled in the second, singled in the fourth, both times leading off. But he has not scored a run, been out 2 times on the bases. The 1-2 pitch is down and away. Involved in a double play in the second, forced out at third on a bunt by Ibar in the fourth. Scoreboard wants some noise from these fans here at Angel Stadium. The count's gone to 2-2. Check on Trumbo. Two and 2 the count. And another base hit into right for Kendrick. He's 3 for 3. And he's gone the opposite way with each single.
Right center and 2 to right. When you talk about locked in at middle of the plate, even with 2 strikes, what an approach.
And now to talk about the approach for Cayaspo. Mike Scioscia, the manager of the Angels, just left the dugout. Chris Stewart, the catcher for the Yankees, went out to the mound to talk to Phelps. Scioscia didn't want to leave anything to chance. He went out, walked up to Cayaspo, and told him in his ear what he wants him to do.
You can see catcher Chris Stewart putting something on. Yeah, no manual signs there. Those are verbal signals.
Here you go. No missing signs. No nothing. They tried to bunt in a similar situation earlier. Phelps trying to keep Trumbo close at second. Brignac was breaking to his right.
I don't think the wheel will be on here. I think the Yankees worked it one time. They're going to be satisfied with that. We'll see. Jason Nix putting it on, telling David Phelps. Sean Kelly now warming for the Yankees. But I think the Yankees will play this straight up.
And now Phelps steps off. He's got some movement behind him with Brignac initially keeping the runner Trumbo close, and then as Phelps comes set, Brignac is breaking to his right. Ball 1 to Callaspo, who does not show bunt. And now Jason Nix, the third baseman, goes to the sides, and David Phelps says, I don't know what you're doing, so I'm going to go get it from you verbally, like Socha and Callaspo. 1-0 the count on Alberto, who's 1 for 2. Now the bunt, foul for strike 1.
So it was not bunting on the first pitch, but bunting on the second pitch. So now Jason Nix will go out to David Phelps and give the other infielders the signs again. Changes with every pitch. Dino Ebel, the third base coach, giving signs to Callaspo. A lot of signs going on right now.
Trumbo and Kendrick, the runners, tie game, bottom of the 6th. Here's a 1-1. Back to the swing. A look to second, out. And that's it.
Sometimes that can burn you. The middle infielders were split, and nobody was there to cover second base. Cano tried to get there in time, but the shortstop, Brignac, and Cano going toward first, there's nobody to cover second. So instead of a double play, they get one out.
So Kendrick is forced. Coming across initially, evidently Cano got the foot on the bag right here, maybe. Doesn't look like it.
Side of his foot.
And then he re-reached for the bag.
Yeah.
But the out call was given by Brian Gorman. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe, because usually that's a sign that the infielder missed the bag.
It's runners at the corners now, 1 out. And Cano may have gotten away with one there. Trumbo at third, Callaspo at first. And with that call at second base, instead of bases loaded, nobody out, it's first and third, 1 out. And the Yankees are a double play away from getting out of this. The Angels trying to regain the lead. They led 1-0 after 2 on a home run by Ibar, who's at the plate, and he puts the Angels back on top. With a base hit into left, Trumbo scores, and it's 3-2 Angels.
Healthy day at the plate for Eric Ibar. He homered to put the Angels on top in the second. And now breaks another tie to give the Angels the lead again.
So the middle infielders having fun hitting the ball for the Angels today. Kendrick with a 3-hit day. Ibar with a home run, now an RBI single, and it's 3-2 Angels. Here's Hank Conger, 2 on with 1 out. As Phelps approaches 100 pitches on the day. Hank is 0 for 2. He's grounded out, struck out. Switch hitting catcher. You could see that swing and why he was able to launch one onto Utah Street in Baltimore during the week. It was on Wednesday. The Angels had an off day on Thursday. There's a good tailing pitch, strike two. Let's go back to that play at second base and see if Cano got the bag.
I don't think he did.
I don't think so initially.
No.
And then he reaches for the bag with his left foot as Kendrick comes sliding in. So now 2 on for Conger, who grounds one to the first baseman, Adams, out at second, and they got them both. Wow. Well turned by Adams and Brignac in the middle. He feeds Phelps going to the bag. And now the Angels have stranded 5 on the day, but they've regained the lead. 3-2 after 6. Back after this from your local Fox station. Ace Hardware. And as we move into the 7th inning, Tommy Hanson has a 1-run lead again. He finds the strike zone to Ichiro, who is 1 for 2 in the game. A double, was out stealing on a missed call at third base in the 4th inning his last time. Fly to left his first time. Tries to bunt his way on. This is going to take a great play and no chance. That's as good as you can do. And the tying run is on with nobody out, and a perfect bunt by Ichiro Suzuki.
That little triangle among the catcher, pitcher, and third baseman deadens it perfectly. Watch.
Got guys all over the PGA Tour trying to find spin like that at Marion this week.
That's true.
And it just rolled out there and pretty much stopped.
Marion has been growling for the last 3 days.
It's winning. Oh. 1 on, nobody out. The batter is Thomas Neal, who gets the start today in left field. But he is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Neal, who played junior college baseball with his opponent Tommy Hanson from the area, has a ton of family and friends watching here at Angel Stadium, and an opportunity for Neal to do something to excite his fans. Hansen brings a pitch out. Ichiro stayed put. You saw the stat. Ichiro now 141 career hits at this ballpark, the most all time by any opponent. All those years in Seattle. Traded to the Yankees, and a big part of why they won the division last year down the stretch. He was very good for New York, and then re-upped. Had to agree to that deal to go from Seattle to New York, and it worked out well for both sides. It's Neal at the plate. It's Vernon Wells, the former Angel, who is on the bench getting a day of rest. He has really struggled. That looked like such a steal after a month and a half of the season. Into mid-May, Vernon Wells had 10 home runs, was hitting over 300 with just 124 since. So it's Neal in there, and a 1-0 pitch from Hansen. Runner goes. Thrown by Conger is too late. And a stolen base for Ichiro, number 7 on the season.
Sometimes a pitch out will talk the opposition into running. Now with little chance of 2 pitch outs in a row, Ichiro takes a chance, and it works. Great jump, great speed, high throw, stolen base.
And a 2-0 count on Neal. Hansen's got help in the bullpen if he needs it. Tommy's longest outing this season, 6 1/3. With an out, he will match it. 2-1. The left-hander is Downs. The right-hander is Michael Kahn. Scott Downs, the only lefty that the Angels have in their bullpen. Hansen gives a look back. Sean Burnett was another left-hander that was signed for pretty good money. Prior to this season, he is on the disabled list with elbow issues. So Downs, the only lefty. There goes Ichiro. Got a jump. Throw down. Too late. He may be 39, but he is showing his speed and his ability on the bases. Great jump. He's at third, nobody out.
Great jump, but he picked the right pitch on which to run again. Breaking ball. Steals it easily.
He should have 3 stolen bases on the day. He was called out trying to steal third in the 4th. Even though the tag was not applied in time, he was called out. Now the infield has to come in. Nobody out. Neal trying to tie this game. Conger just blocking at ball 3, 3-2.
Normally, if you're trailing by a run in the 7th inning, Major League managers do not bring the infield in, more or less playing for the tie, wanting the out. But I think Mike Scioscia, thinking this is the bottom part of the lineup, an inexperienced guy like Thomas Neal, why not bring him in?
Now let's go Yankees cheer from the crowd here, and a strikeout for out number 1, and the 3rd time that Thomas Neal is struck out in this game. 8 on the day for Tommy Hansen. Another good curveball from the big right-hander. Scioscia is coming out. Brignac is coming up. We'll see if he makes a move to the lefty Downs.
And if he does make the move to the lefty Downs, if Girardi makes the move to Vernon Wells.
Hansen, 6 1/3. Matching his season high, leaves up by a run. 8th strikeout that ended his day. He's responsible for the runner on third, but a very good outing by the right-hander, the 26-year-old Tommy Hanson, as he gives way to Scott Downs.
Scott has not allowed a run his last 14 appearances. Should Ichiro score, of course, he will be charged to Tommy Hanson. Again, the infield in.
And it's up to Reed Brignac, who's playing short today. 0 for 2. That was against Hanson. Tying run at third, one away. Strike one, and Brignac was trying to launch.
Reed slips. Actually went down on his left knee when that left foot turned over.
The Rockies, Colorado Rockies, kept Reed Brignac around as insurance for Troy Tulowitzki. Dealt him to the Yankees. Brignac, the middle of May. Now Tulowitzki's out for the Rockies as Brignac is starting for the Yankees. Conger digs that one out of the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Broken rib for Tulowitzki, who is having a huge year. But he's going to be out for some time. Infield is in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brignac watches one go in the dirt, again blocked by Conger. 2-1. Let's go back to the end of the double play that ended the 6th inning, with Ibar going into Brignac. They had to check on earlier in the game. He said he was okay, so he's getting his chance, and what an opportunity here. 2-1 the count. Scott Downs in relief of Tommy Hanson. Good pitch in under the hands. 2-2.
Good fastball going down to Brignac.
The bullpen has been trying to round into form for Mike Scioscia. It's been a problem for the Angels this season. The 2-2. Got him looking, 2 out. Back-to-back strikeouts with a runner at third, nobody out. Now Ichiro's there, 2 out after this pitch from Downs.
Scott Downs missed that pitch by about 12 inches. Hank Conger was setting up inside. The pitch was away. Downs got the pitch.
And now with Chris Stewart coming up, Reed Brignac frustrated in the dugout. The right-hander Michael Kahn will enter. The Angels are trying to hang on to a 1-run 7th inning lead. Everything we've learned making tires for a range of conditions inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Michael Kahn takes over. 22nd game of the season. Good ERA, and it's up to him to try and keep the Angels on top by a run. It's up to Chris Stewart to try and tie it with a hit. Chris is 1 for 2. Tying run at third, 2 out. 3-2 game in the 7th. Check swing foul for strike 1. The word, Tim, on Mark Teixeira, officially from the Yankees, aggravated that right wrist injury, is going back to New York to be examined by team physicians tomorrow.
Oh boy, more bad news on the injury front for Joe Girardi.
Just piecing this together. His team had Ichiro at third here in this 7th, nobody out. He's there with 2 out. And Stewart is in the hole 0-2.
And because he's in the hole 0-2, Josh Hamilton is too deep in right field. He's got to be 5 steps in with a guy like Stewart who doesn't have a lot of power the other way. Now, he has pull power, but guys who hit the ball the other way hit it with their arms. And you got to play the count and play him much closer than he is.
The 0-2. A strikeout ends the inning. And after having a runner at third, nobody out, Hansen struck out Neal. Down struck out Brignac, and Kahn strikes out Stewart. And the bullpen comes up big for the Angels in the 7th. Time to stretch. LA on top, 3-2. Hardware is sponsored by Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy. Join us out here. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat as we play here in the 7th inning. And for the Yankees, they've scored 18 runs in their last 8 games. In the 3, 4, 5 hitters, the last 4 games, just 5 for 48 with 12 strikeouts. Yankees just missed a golden chance to tie it. Runner at third with nobody out. Sean Kelly was up last inning. Joe Girardi trying to get the most he can out of Phelps, and we may see Kelly now as Borges is on with a base hit. Up over 100 pitches for the Yankee starter, and Joe Girardi wants to make sure Kelly is ready. As we go back to the top of the order, and but no Girardi yet until now. Phelps will leave with a man on, nobody out. Mike Trout coming up. Kelly coming in out of the bullpen. Phelps leaves with the Yankees down 3-2. Seventh inning. I want to speak on behalf of our entire crew here in Southern California as we send out our thoughts, best wishes, and prayers to our good friend Dan Bell and his great family. Dan lost his father Dennis this past week. Dan, from our public relations department, a friend to all of us, but not just Dan, his dad Dennis, the late Dennis Bell, a firefighter in the Chicago area during his career, was a friend to us and for us to lean on over the years as well. So from all of us, thinking of the Bells on this Saturday. Sean Kelly takes over.
Nothing short of remarkable has been Kelly. Over the last 14 games, American League batters 5 for 50 against him.
Had a bit of a rough start, but he and Preston Claiborne have really added to the depth out in that pen for Joe Girardi. And after that fastball, if you look at Phelps and his line, 6 innings, 3 runs, 9 hits. He's responsible for the guy at first. Stewart went out to talk to Kelly, almost as if he was crossed up on a 1-0 pitch.
Yeah, without a man on second base. And it was a fastball that evened the count.
The Yankees had the bullpen rolling even when Jabba Chamberlain was healthy. He's gone on the DL, has come back off the DL, but during that time the Yankees found Kelly and Claiborne, and they've been under the radar stories for Joe Girardi, who has really done a good job handling those arms out in the bullpen. Check swing on a pitch in the dirt. 2-1. Trout has been on base twice. He's singled, walked and scored, fly to center. And there's a beach ball that's on the warning track in center. So Gardner has to go get rid of it. So while we have a chance, we'll give you this. You can make Sunday extra special by going out to the ballpark. Go to MLB.com/Sunday to find special ticket offers. As Trout talks to the home plate umpire Tony Randazzo, he'll be making sure of the count. It's 2-1 as he digs back in. Angels leading by a run. Have a runner at first. That's Borges, who drew the throw.
Yeah, I don't think this is a running situation for the Angels. You don't want to put the hit and run on and make Mike Trout swing the bat. Let him be selective at the plate.
Tailing fastball misses. Ball 3. Borges stays put as Trout got a big swing at a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Now full count. Ebel going through these signs over in the third base coach's box after this swing.
Yeah, now things change. I think you send the runner 3-2. Trout doesn't strike out that much.
Runner is going. Pitch is low, and it's 2 on with nobody out. Kelly comes out of the bullpen and walks Trout to start his day. Drops an RBI chance right into the lap of Josh Hamilton. The numbers aren't good. A .211 average, 21 RBIs. In a lineup that just should crank out runs. Breaking ball, strike 1. Hamilton is grounded out 3 times.
All the second base.
The Yankees have turned 2 double plays in this game. Here's the 0-1. Fastball at 94 drives Hamilton off the plate. Here's a 1-1. That is a fair ball down the right field line. 1 run will score. That's Borges. Trout ends up at third. Hamilton delivers an RBI double. It's 4-2 LA.
Just inside the line, actually over the first base bag. David Adams diving for it. Ichiro Suzuki playing Hamilton into right center field. He made a great effort to get to the ball and to hold Trout at third base.
Now they'll walk Pujols to load him up. Still nobody out in the inning, and the numbers for Phelps. Here's a bad throw from Kelly, and it has to be blocked by Stewart.
Some pitchers have a very difficult time walking hitters intentionally. I know that sounds strange, but it's a fact.
See if Kelly puts a little more on this throw. Here's the first one. Looked like a ceremonial first pitch.
Yeah, from me.
There's ball 3. So that loads him up. The day for Phelps, 6+ innings, 4 runs on 9 hits. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. All 3 runners belong to Kelly. And here's Trumbo. That's 1 career grand slam.
And now the Yankees have to play the infield in. Any ground ball, of course, they will come home, and you've got a guy with the strength of Trumbo up there. Bad odds for the Yankees right now.
Strike 1. Trumbo hitless on the day. He's flied out, struck out, walked, and scored. Hamilton with the RBI double. Inning started on a leadoff hit by Borges. He scored on the double. Here's a pop-up. That's a big out on the infield. Infield fly rule in effect as Adams puts it away, 1 down. And the batter will be Howie Kendrick, who right now is the toughest out in this lineup. Three singles today for Kendrick. And his average is up to 336. Infield back now, hoping for a double play ball. Strike one.
Kelly has been picture perfect with that slider. 2 to Trumbo, the first one to Kendrick. The difference is Kendrick's ability to go the other way much better than Trumbo's.
One ball, one strike. Biggest lead of the day for either team. It's 2. A chance for more. Kendrick takes ball 2. Here's a 2-1. Fooled on that delivery by Kelly as that just floated up there.
Yeah, he got away with one there. As hot as Kendrick's been, he doesn't miss that pitch too often.
So they count 2-2. That slider missed. And it's a full count.
5 sliders in a row to Kendrick.
Bases loaded, 1 out, 3-2 pitch. Foul back. Yankee bullpen is quiet after that 18-inning affair on Thursday. They're not in a position where they're just getting guys up left and right. Right now it's up to Keller. And Stewart's going to go out and talk. Take a look ahead to Fox Saturday Baseball next week. Baseball night in America continues with the Rangers, Cardinals, Red Sox, Tigers, Dodgers, and Padres. Reds and Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks started the day with a 1.5 game lead on the Giants in the West. 3-2 pitch. That'll force home a run. Third walk of the inning issued by Sean Keller. Larry Rothschild will visit after the bases loaded walk. Well, as we play here in the middle of June, we look ahead to the middle of July and the All-Star game coming up in New York. Kenny, how about the odds for Howie Kendrick representing the Angels in the American League?
Joe, I've got some fans behind me asking me the exact same thing, but here's the problem. Robinson Cano is right now the leading vote getter, and Dustin Pedroia might be having his best year yet. Ian Kinsler, not as much a factor, but he has been a factor in recent years because of his fine play for the Rangers. Howie Kendrick, certainly deserving, but it's a numbers crunch. Remains to be seen whether he'll get in.
He's pushing 340 now with his average. And it just seems like every year there's a log jam at one position. That's it in the American League at second. Here's Kayaspo. That's not close.
In my view, there is no way that Howie Kendrick can stay off the All-Star game or out of the All-Star game this year.
3 hits, a walk, and now an RBI in today's game. It's a 5-2 game. The 1-0 pitch is way up and away. Sean Kelly, who's been so good over the last 18 games with 29 strikeouts, only 6 walks. is in a lot of trouble here in the 7th. Conversations all over the infield. On the mound, Rothschild paid a visit. Here's a 2-0. That's into shallow right. Ichiro makes the catch. Tagging is Hamilton, and it's a good thing he stopped because Ichiro threw a one-hop strike.
One hopper right at the cutoff man. Easy play for Stewart to handle. He does a lot of things right, doesn't he?
No doubt about that. And he can still do a lot of things right at the age of 39.
Unbelievable.
And now in a 3-run game, it's bases loaded, 2 out for Eric Ibar. He was homered today, has never homered in the big leagues in this situation. Time called at the plate. He's 1 for 2, an RBI single and a home run. Right side, Adams stays down on it, goes to the bag, and in the inning, the Angels get 2, lead by 3. 8th inning rolls in on a Saturday night in Anaheim. 5-2 LA. Sports 1 fan cam, where we see fans who are excited about America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1, coming August 17th. Can't wait for the debut of Fox Sports 1, middle of August on the 17th. And Kevin Jepsen, who has been so good since coming off the disabled list, takes over to work the 8th. 4th pitcher of the game for Mike Scioscia. Now the bullpen with a 3-run lead, and the 95-mile-per-hour fastball is into Gardner, strike 1.
Yeah, Kevin Jepsen, one of 3 right-handers with great stuff out of the pen. Garrett Richards and Michael Kahn throw about in that 95-96 range.
Gardner trying to start something for the Yankees. He is 1 for 3 on the day with an RBI triple, a run scored, and the count, a ball and a strike. It's Jepsen setting up Frieri. Jabba Chamberlain getting loose for the Yankees. In their bullpen, the Yankees have lost 4 straight. Here comes a 1-1. Late swing by Gardner, strike 2. This ought to give you an idea of how the Angels have to score a lot of runs to win ball games, and maybe highlights the issues that they've had with their pitching staff, the bullpen in particular. Score 6 runs, they're under 500. 5 runs, which is where they are now, 3 games over. That's inside, they count 2-2. And they've scored 2 runs or less. They're 0-16.
Speaking of 2 runs or less, the Yankees have scored exactly 2 runs over the last 4 games, including this afternoon. Even only 2 in that 18-inning affair on Thursday.
Here's a 2-2. Full count. Jepsen allowed an unearned run Wednesday in Baltimore, and that was the first run period he had allowed since the 9th of April. Spent time on the DL, and he starts his day with a strikeout of Gardner, 1 away in the 8th.
3-run lead. Here it is, hit it, and Gardner didn't.
That's 11 strikeouts of Yankee hitters in this game. 8 by Hansen, 1 by Downs and Kahn, and now 1 for Jepsen as Jason Nix stands in 1 for 3. Back to Jepsen, knocks it down, 2 out. And with the bases empty, Cano will be the hitter. Robinson is hitless in this game, came in hitting .234 in June. And in a game in which the Yankees have lost Mark Teixeira, who re-aggravated that right wrist injury, flying back to New York to be examined by their team doctors, headed back tomorrow. Joe Girardi down there in the dugout wondering what's next. There's a strike to Cano.
Former general manager Gene Michael telling general manager Brian Cashman earlier in the year, you have to sift through the nuggets and separate the gold from the rest. He's tried to do that, but you wonder how long the Yankees can keep that up.
That's inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. You saw that stat. Situational hitting. The Yankees hitting .138 with runners in scoring position over the last 4 games. With 2 out, nobody on, Cano waits for a 1-1 from Jepsen. To the right side, Kendrick on 2 easy hops, inning over, and Jepsen with another good inning. For the Angels out of their pen, baseball night in America rolls into the bottom of the 8th inning. Conger, Borges, Trout coming up. Angels trying to make it 3 in a row overall. 2 straight over the Yankees, lead by 3. Part of Major League Baseball since 1997. By the new 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Up above, aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we've learned making tires for a range of conditions inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. As Jabba Chamberlain takes over, you look at his numbers. Game number 16, spent time on the disabled list. He will work the bottom of the 8th inning in a 5-2 game. All of us at Fox want to send our congratulations to Matt Saldana, a broadcast associate who married Kimberly earlier today.
Very nice.
Off
Very
they
nice.
go into a life together. Ernesto Frieri is getting ready for the 9th. Jabba Chamberlain trying to keep it a 3-run game. He will work 2. Hank Conger, the catcher, first up, the number 8 hitter. And he takes ball 1. And while we're at it, we wish happy birthday to Ed Gorin, our former boss. As Conger gets out in front and fouls it right side. Maybe former boss, but current dear friend. So happy birthday to Ed, who I'm sure is celebrating with wife Patty somewhere in the greater Los Angeles area tonight. Here is a 1-1. That is launched in the air to right down the line. Suzuki will get there for the catch. What a game he's had with his team down by 3 in the 8th.
2 stolen bases, a double, a bunt base hit, 2 sparkling plays defensively. Jabba Chamberlain liked that a great deal.
Appreciates the effort by Ichiro toward the line. That was a tremendous play for out number 1, and now Borges strike 1. Peter in this game is 1 for 3. And now 2 for 4. As he turned on that high delivery and ripped it into left. 1 on, 1 out.
Well, that's what happens when you can run. You bring that third baseman in and then whack it by him. Jason Nix at third base, playing in front of the bag. No way he makes that play anyway, but you get the drift.
So now Borges is on, and Trout steps in. What Mike Scioscia said about their lineup now is that there's even more of an emphasis for the bottom of the order to get something going. So Trout, now in the leadoff spot, is presented with RBI chances. Otherwise, you're wasting a big part of what he can bring to a lineup. Trout has 43 RBIs. He's been on base 3 times today with 2 walks, a hit. He scored twice, stolen a base. And a check on Borges at first.
Yeah, that 9-1 tandem in the American League, very, very important. A lot of managers put speed in the 9-hole, speed in the 1-hole, and it changes your whole offensive approach. And you can do that in the American League with the DH.
There's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Garrett Richards joins Frieri in case this no longer is a save chance. That would happen with another run. Runner goes, throw down, no chance. Stolen base. Stewart did all he could.
And so did Robinson Cano. Chris Stewart had to hurry his throw. Watch the tag by Cano as quickly as he could possibly make it. But Burgess with his 2nd stolen base of the year.
And so now he's in scoring position for Trout. who's ahead on the count here, 2-1. Good fastball that misses inside, however, 3-1. Runner at second, 1 out, 3 balls and a strike. Mike Trout takes a walk for the 3rd time in this game. 2 on for Josh Hamilton. Ken Rosenthal is still with us down in the dugout. And Kenny, there was so much talk about how the Yankees had to tread water until they started getting some of these guys back. Well, they've had Euclid come back, they've had Granderson come back and now back out, and it's a big blow today if they lose Teixeira for an extended period of time.
Absolutely, Joe. And the whole problem here is that guys like Travis Hafner, Vernon Wells, Lyle Overbay, they were only expected to carry the team for so long. It was not supposed to go until mid-June, the Yankees having these guys in prime positions. And the loss of Granderson for the 2nd time, that was a huge blow. Because as Joe Girardi told us today, he's a 40 home run guy, and those aren't easy to replace.
Yeah, they're just not waiting around looking for jobs, as Joe Girardi said. So Granderson trying to fight his way back off that broken pinky, but he's in a position now where he's just throwing the ball and not catching it as he tries to come back, but he's had so little action this season that it's going to take him a while to get back into baseball shape. 2 on, 1 out. Hamilton fooled on the pitch, up on the count, 2-0. Now it's 2-1.
Good changeup from Jabba Chamberlain in a fastball count. Hamilton out in front.
Josh with an RBI double as last time, and same pitch, same result, 2-2. Asked Mike Scioscia before the game if, after moving Hamilton into that number 2 spot, Josh is getting pitched any differently than he was when he was batting 4th or 5th, and he said no. There's a strikeout on a fastball for out number 2.
Hamilton had the count in his favor, 2-0, and then 3 straight strikes from Chamberlain.
2 off-speed pitches and a fastball at 96, and Hamilton could not pull the trigger. Now it's Pujols 2 on, 2 out. Albert 1 for 3. An RBI single back in the 3rd. It tied the game at 2. Good block by Stewart. Since then, the Angels came up with a run in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, lead by 3. The 9th inning, it'll be David Adams, Lyle Overbay, and Ichiro Suzuki for the Yankees. Borges at second, Trout at first, 2 out, 1-0. Blocked again by Stewart. Pujols with 41 RBIs on the season, 1 today, has 2 out there. Runners at first and second, 2 out, and a strike to make it 2-1. There's the pitching matchup for tomorrow. CC Sabathia against Jared Weaver, a good one. Sabathia coming off a loss near his hometown of Vallejo, California, in Oakland. You can tune in tomorrow on Yes and Fox Sports West for the final game. Coverage starts at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. There's a strike, and what was a 2-0 count is now 2-2. Chamberlain has Pujols reaching, and he gets a base hit into right center field. Borges will score. Trout ends up at third, and it's a 6-2 Angels lead. Second RBI of the game for Albert Pujols.
Thing has always been about Pujols. He spoils perfect pitches. That pitch is right there on the corner. Rear end out. Hands out. Line drive. That's a remarkable piece of hitting by Pujols.
And the biggest lead of the day, it's 6-2 here in the eighth. And Chamberlain still not out of trouble with Trumbo batting with first and third, 2 out. The first from Jabba Chamberlain outside. He's fallen behind each of the last 3 hitters. He came back to get Hamilton after the walk to Trout. Could not finish off Pujols, and now it's a 1-0 count on Trumbo. Strike one. The relief work for the Angels has been outstanding so far. And it looks like Garrett Richards will take over in the ninth. Here's a 1-1. Strike two, and a good rip by Trumbo. Frieri now just lightly tossing, and Richards in a 4-run game will likely get the nod from Socha. Perfect inning by Jepsen with a strikeout. Here is a 1-2 pitch. Trumbo takes high. 2-2. The next is outside. A full count, and that means that Pujols will take off at first. The Angels had dropped 11 of 15, but they are on their way to what they hope will be their third straight win. A strikeout ends the inning. But another run on the board for the Angels, and as we go into the ninth inning, Yankees coming up, down by 4. presented by Ace Hardware. Glad you're with us tonight on Fox. Ninth inning, even in a non-save situation, Mike Scioscia is not going to play around with it. He got Garrett Richards up, but I guess the lead not big enough, so Frieri gets the ball anyway. 15 of 16 in save chances, but this is not one of those. Strike one on David Adams. Adams is 0 for 1 since entering in the fourth.
Well, Joe, two of the first three hitters are left-handed batters, and there's nobody who has more confidence in right-handed pitcher like Frieri than Mike Scioscia against left-handed batters. Frieri has been overwhelming against left-handers this year. Left-handed batters, remarkably, are 5 for 51, hitting .98 against him. It's unbelievable. That's Mariano Rivera.
Here's a strikeout to start the afternoon, evening for Frieri. One out in the ninth. Time for the King Plays of the Game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king. A 3-hit game for Howie Kendrick. And he added to that with a bases-loaded walk for an RBI in the seventh. So he just keeps piling up hits, pushing 340 on the year, and with one out, here's Overbay, the DH. 0 for 3 on the day, and with news of Teixeira heading back home to New York to get his right wrist checked out, Overbay could go back to his spot in the near future as the first baseman for the Yankees. Strike two.
Yeah, to Lyle, the Yankees are saying get your first baseman's mitt ready, at least for the time being.
We'll get a report from Ken Rosenthal. We get the chance either during or right after this at bat by Overbay, who has struck out twice, grounded out. Kenny, what's up?
Clayton Kershaw. A lot of talk about his contract extension, what might happen, when it might happen, what it will be. Well, I've learned that they've made progress on a 7-year extension that likely would be in excess of what Justin Verlander got from the Tigers. That's $180 million. So what are we talking about? Maybe 7 years, 190, maybe 7 years, 200. But this is something that could happen at some point soon.
Ken, thanks. He got the start, no decision, but a win today earlier for the Dodgers in extra innings in Pittsburgh. Started the day 8.5 out. Did the Dodgers a strikeout for out number 2. Overbay 0 for 4, and Ichiro's had a big day with the glove, with his legs, with the bat, trying to extend this game with his team down by 4. The producer of today's game, Pete Macheska. The director is Bill Webb. Steve Horn is our editorial consultant here in the booth. That's strike one. Associate director Brian Biederman. Broadcast associate Gilbert Zepeda. Executive producer of the game, the pregame, is Mike Connor. Producer is Marty Montalto. Director is Mark Deaver. With 2 out, the 0-1, strike 2, and Frieri could strike out the side here in the ninth. Yankees on their way to their 5th consecutive loss. Angels trying to wrap up their 3rd straight win. Game over. Angels win it 6-2. Tommy Hanson was terrific. He gets the win 4-2. David Phelps a loss 4-4. 3-hour, 10-minute game. For Tim McCarver and Ken Rosenthal, Joe Buck. 6-2 is the final. So long from Angels Stadium.